Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Reignite Your Soul podcast. I have a really incredible guest again here on the podcast today, Anthony Strayhorn, and I am super fired up for him. And you guys know this, but all on this podcast, we're all about just expanding our minds and opening up our hearts to an entirely new way of being. And Anthony and I just met recently over the last maybe month or so. And we met through a mutual friend of ours, and we're actually in a group coaching program together right now. And his energy and his vibrance and everything about him is just so incredible. And I know I have so many men in my life that are still kind of in like the new space of getting into personal development and what that actually looks like. And I'm just very excited to have Anthony on here to share a little bit more about his story, his personal journey, his story with his business, his vision for himself, his vision for the world. And I'm just really excited, and I'm just going to allow Anthony to kind of go off and share more about himself and what his vision is, because, you know, it's like, I could do it, but obviously you're going to be able to say it a lot more powerful than I will. So Anthony, I would love to what would you love to have happen with this episode so that everybody can kind of get like a little sneak peek into what they can expect to receive on this episode?
Yeah. So what I would love to have happen is to allow this conversation to connect with people in a way that inspires them to attract, experience, and connect with whatever desire, whatever need, whatever thing that there is for them in their life that they want to just experience, and to continue to become clear, convicted, and courageous enough to pursue your truth, pursue the journey that you're on, and have fun with life. Continue to have fun and explore and discover whatever it is for you to explore and discover for yourself.
Yeah, so good. It really can be like, Peter Kelly says it, like life truly can be all about fun and games. So I love that you're also on board with that vision as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree. I totally agree. Because I think when we have more fun, life feels more like a game.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's like, how do we find that childlike energy to connect with, so that whatever we do, whether it be working on your house, to your business, to traveling, whatever, it can feel like fun. So things flow. When there's fun, there's flow.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
That's just how I kind of see it.
I love how you shared too. Like, I know in society we're all programmed to like work, but it's like, I love how you said like working on the house or like doing other things and allowing that free flowing fun to extend beyond work life and actually like in the pockets of your day and the stuff we're doing in our personal lives as well.
For sure. Yeah. You know, because like it's all a game. If you can see it that way, it's all a game that we're playing to win, or some of us are, you know, or we're playing to see how we can grow and expand and continue to find meaning for what we do, and how does that connect with everything we do, microcosmically, macrocosmically, you know. So yeah, that's, you know, I like to say like everybody's an athlete in the game of life, you know. And so bigger than the game of professional sports or any kind of other games where the idea is about really having competitive engagement, where life is just the game of cooperation. You know, how do I find scenarios where I can find or have symbiotic relationships that are synergistic in nature, so we have sustainable health. Everybody wins. Everybody gets it. There's enough for everybody. We don't have to lose. Nobody has to go home with an L and somebody comes home with a W. Everybody wins. You know?
I love that. A symbiotic relationship. It's so true. Like just like life in general, that's what it is. And I'm really learning that a lot as well. So Anthony and I are both in Joel. Oh my gosh, why can't I remember Joel's last name? Joel Kimmel. Oh my gosh, he was on the podcast literally 2 episodes ago. So catch that episode if you haven't already. He's incredible. But we're both in Joel's course, and it's all about the art of being and language and how it impacts like our relationships and our lives. And I've learned so much being in that course, and how our wording and how our language can open up new possibilities for what's
Mm-hmm.
actually happening in our everyday life. And I love how you said about life being a game of being able to like collaborate. And I feel like it's opening up possibilities. Life is about opening up possibilities for one another, and we all truly can win when we do come from that place of love.
Yeah, for me, it's just going back and understanding and continue to connect with the state of abundance, which is our natural state. It's just what we're born into. We're born into an abundant state of living, and it's through our, raising up or as we grow up that we can sometimes take on ideas, assessments, stories, scenarios that kind of limit our way of seeing life. So it's just a reminder of how expansive life is already. Like we don't, there's a quote that I have screenshotted and it's saved on my phone that says, we don't create abundance, we create limitations. Yes. Abundance is already here.
It's always there.
It's always just getting back to like, it's always back. It's me. It's where's the limitation? Well, it's me. It's my mind. It's my ego, all those things. So.
Yeah. And I'm curious, Anthony, like you mentioned about how like, obviously when we're children, we come into that abundant space, like throughout your life journey, like what were those pivotal moments for you where you started realizing those limitations, and how was it that it affected your life?
Oh yeah. Well, I would say one of the most, I have a couple, but one of the most pivotal one was the college experience. And there was a point where I realized like, I just cannot see myself working at an office for the rest of my life, 20 plus years. I take my lunch to work in a box. I drive in a box. I go to a box shaped building. My cubicle's in a box. My sandwich is shaped like a box. Have you noticed the break room is shaped like a box? Everything is boxed in.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not going to live boxed into my life. So, and I just felt like that was my I know that was my realization probably in 2004 when I was like, this was like my third internship in college. I was a junior in college and I was like, no, this is not going to serve me. And I decided that this long-term experience wasn't going to serve me. And I still went into the corporate world for 7 years. And I've been in my own business for 9 years. So it was that pivotal moment. It was just like, when I started to really see like a lot of the people outside of, well, a lot of people I worked with were just like, kind of just like going through the emotions of just doing the same thing every single day. And it was just like, I was almost like spiritually repulsed. Like this can't be the rest of my life, So that was a massive thing. And I would say even before that, I would say my spiritual awakening, which was when I made a conscious decision to transition to a vegan lifestyle. I was a sophomore in college then, and just coming into my sophomore year, and it was an epic like transformation at that time. And because I remember very distinctly, Laura, a year before, I was looking at this guy at this career networking event for my school, telling him, hey man, I could never stop eating meat, could never stop. And he was vegetarian. I was eating this like plate of chicken and other stuff. And a year later, I was vegan. So even more strict than a vegetarian. So there's moments like that. And there's been other little small moments, but those have been like major highlighting moments of that kind of realization. So yeah.
That's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. It is. And I still have little micro moments of like realization, like I'm not meant to just I'm not meant to be in debt for the rest of my life. That's just not, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to have a house payment for the rest of my life. I'm not going to have a car payment. So being more minimal and this how I choose to hoard things or keep things or feel like I have to have certain things. Not to say I don't enjoy things. I'm just less attached and more connected to experiences. Traveling, eating together, bonding, dancing together, all the things, all the things that really just help with like social bonding and like connection. I'm all about that because I'm a super extroverted person. I love connection with people. I love being around people. And yeah.
I'm curious how the whole like world situation over the last year and a half has really impacted that.
Wow. Well, in the beginning, I would say so I have the community of people I hang around with are mainly health and wellness, health and fitness people who have very similar alignment of values and beliefs with how we see life, how we do life, what we like are aspiring towards. So that community of people, we all stuck very close to each other. We were like, we're going to hunker down together and stay together. We're not going to socially distance. Fuck that. We were like, no, we're going to stay together and we're going to be open with each other and just be cool with that. And that's how we were. So that was my initial, that helped ground me. Now, there were a lot of friends of mine and other close associates who just like ran for the hills, who went and got in their bunkers, closed their doors, battened down the hatches, everything. And we're just, when I look back at it now, it's like, hey, they had to have the experience.
Yeah.
Once you buy into something, you usually buy into it all. It's almost like, and this is the analogy, Laura. I don't know if you ever bought luggage, but typically when you buy luggage, you buy it in a set of 3. Like you buy a big piece of luggage, a medium piece, and like a very small piece. You can't buy just the big piece. You usually have to buy it all. Well, sometimes, and this might be a loosely like really firm analogy. However, usually it's like you buy the whole thing. So the whole thing is like when you buy into the story of everything, or you buy into whatever is being told to you, then you just buy it all. So I just looked at an opportunity for me to just like allow people to intake that story. If that's the story you need to take in, cool. Maybe there's something for you. However, I was very clear, like this is the moment for me to really get more into my space of power, of influence and impact to other people who are desperately needing some type of connection, especially around how to continue to look at their health and wellness, where they can elevate it and like understand that is the most powerful asset they have for themselves right now. Their mental health, their emotional well-being, their physical movement, that's your medicine. That's your immunity, and always has been, always will be, and will continue to be. It's so it hasn't been as tough over the last, I would say, 9 months, honestly, because my crew and we were just like, fuck that. We're not going for the okie doke. We're just not, because we've seen these games being played out many times, and that's the thing, Laura. When you see the game being played, you can stay in peace. When you see the moves, when you see the historical patterns, it's like, oh yeah, it's the same color. That's the same color. It's the same move. It's like, nope. I know you. Okay, cool. You got to go through it. I'm gonna be over here. Still love you, but I'm not gonna play that game. So it's a standard. It's a standard, and it's a certain conviction that you live with. And for me, that gives me peace. That has given me peace throughout this whole time. And I've had to work on my own compassion for people. I've had to exercise my compassion muscles a little bit, build up my compassion abs, because they were, for some of my friends, especially my fellow healers. Oh man, some of them, man, I was like my other love and light workers and all that. I was like, what's going on? Like, I thought you were all about love and light. Oh, I thought you were about healing from within, about alchemy and transmutation of energy and all this stuff. Like, where did all that go? Like, I thought that was real. Oh, maybe not now, when it actually matters. It's easy to be like that when everything is love and light. But what about when you can't see the light? Can you still be that inside? Because that's what it really is. That's really where it comes in. And it's hard, because even some of the most astute speakers and powerful models of transformation were like, no, this and that. I'm like, okay, well, everybody has an area, and that's cool. And it just got to reveal, things for me.
Yeah, it's interesting. I know I can relate with that. And when it comes to like the toxic positivity, right? It's like when you're in these roles, you feel like you have to show up a certain way. And like I went through that too, where it was like all this stuff. But then The universe always finds a way to show you your shadow. So you have to sit in it and you have to go through it. And
Yep.
that's really where you learn the most from yourself. And it's in the discomfort where you
Mm,
learn the most about yourself. And
for
it's like,
sure.
I love how you said about like, you're so amazing because you just love people throughout it. You know, I always say it's like, there's no right or wrong. There's just different. You
Yeah.
know, there's no
Yeah.
right or wrong to get to where that destination is. Like other people are going to go this way. Somebody might go this way. We're going to go this way. Somebody might take a right turn, a left turn, but we're all
Yep.
like, we're all moving along our life purpose exactly as it's meant to be. So just really loving people throughout. And right now there's so much separation that it's like
Yes.
we truly do need to come together in that loving way where we can accept other people for making the decision, just empowering decisions opposed to empowering an outcome. And I
Yes.
love that. And I'm curious, with everything going on in the world, like I was the same way with my friends where I was like, I can't conform to what they are telling me to do based
Mm-hmm.
on my own understanding of my body and my own
Mm-hmm.
understanding of my emotional well-being and what my body needs in order to show up in a way that I can actually contribute as a functioning person of society. Like
Mm-hmm.
I just wasn't able to conform to that. So I had to find my ways in order that worked for me, that still allowed me to be safe and to be all of these things. But I'm curious for you, like any advice for those people that are listening to this, that when it comes to stepping outside of that norm, there's this
Mm-hmm.
huge resistance, this huge fear that humans feel stepping out of that when it comes to like stepping out of that tribe, out of the normal box that we've all been conditioned to live in throughout our whole entire lives this so far.
Yeah. Yeah. So the question is, what's some advice on how to do that for yourself, or?
Yeah, or curiously, like just what is it that you did? Like what were the thought processes
Mm-hmm.
that you had when going through that yourself, when you were seeing what other people were doing, but you chose to take a different route that allowed
Yeah.
you to kind of be sitting here with me right now in good energy, where you're
Mm-hmm.
able to still be a part of society that is providing lots of value to society, um,
Mm-hmm.
with your energy and with your vibrance and your message that you have to share.
Yeah. I will say one of the things is that it may not be easy. And sometimes the thing that's not easy to do is the best, it can be some of the best, can be the best thing for you. Might be some of the best opportunities for you to really dig in and find your conviction within yourself and to really tap into the idea or the beliefs that you say you have about something and ask yourself, do I really, really feel like convicted about this? Do I really believe this? Do I really like subscribe this? And if I do, how am I embodying it? You know, if I'm educating people, I'll talk about myself. I'm educating people about how to be more balanced, how to create more sustainability, how to have healthier lifestyle practices, how to incorporate movement more into your daily life so that you have more fluidity in your life metaphysically and in other kind of ways. I have to keep modeling that because for me, I feel like I'm out of integrity,
Mm-hmm.
I'll be inauthentic. That's what it was for me, Laura. I felt like if I subscribed to this whole mass series of propaganda, that I would have been out of integrity. I would have been inauthentic, and I would have just felt like a fraud,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then that's just that weight alone was enough for me to be like, no, I'm not going to subscribe to that. And my body just would not even like respond to that powerfully at all. It's just, I'm self-aware enough to know that. So I would just tell people, like, really ask yourself what's really, what do you really feel deeply in that moment? Like, what's really speaking to you, and honor that voice by trusting it, by trusting your inner voice, not the one here always, but the one that's really speaking down in your heart, because this one is oftentimes influenced by this little beautiful thing we have called our ego. And we're not going to get rid of it. We're not going to transcend our ego. That's not real. Only thing that's going to happen is that you can quiet it and not allow it to be the driver. It's always there, and it actually needs to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it wasn't, you'd try to go up to a grizzly bear and be friends with it.
Mm-hmm.
And you would just, float into the next life experience. So the ego was like, hey, no, that's a grizzly bear.
Yeah.
That's probably not the safest thing for you. Just saying. It has its benefits. So,
and the ego shit on a lot.
Yeah.
It's literally there to keep us safe. It's like
exactly. It is. It has its place. You know, it's a balance. You know, it's almost like tied to this whole idea of hierarchy of needs, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You know, at the foundation, we need safety, we need security, we need some type of predictability to us to feel grounded and secure. We need some of that. However, that is not the thing that's going to elevate our spiritual evolution. We need other things too. So what else can I feel like I can add to this part of the discussion, the question here? I would say get out in nature, move your body, because sometimes that trapped energy of fear and being isolated and being by yourself can create this like internal ecosystem of stagnation, lack of creativity and connection. So get out and do things, do your own research too. Like this, because I was a chemical engineering college, so I have a science background and I've always been into science. The idea of critical thinking, the idea of questioning things when I felt in my gut, or just when I know some things just scientifically were not, or just off, I question it. Or I would at least give it, there be some type of pause there and reflect on like, does this actually make sense?
Yes.
You know, it's just, there were just so many red flags when COVID first hit, especially when the news started reporting numbers. I was like, okay, I already know off the top of the back. I don't even have to know this, everything. This is right here. This is bullshit right here. So that's, and luckily, I would say luckily, fortunately, I was able to attend a higher institution of education and also continue to do my own research in life about science. So a lot of stuff I just was not like buying from rip, just from rip. And then, it was just interesting. So those are some things, if people can pick up interpret what I said. So ask yourself, do I really feel convicted in the beliefs that I've been carrying within myself for years? Get outside in nature, move around. And also, something else I said, I can't remember now. Find your tribe, like find people that you can connect with. Because I do feel it's vital to connect with people physically. We are designed to be in physical, like close proximity with one another. It is so important. Yeah. Because if we don't, we can like suffer this social death, this emotional death. And ironically, this is crazy, Laura. I heard this morning. One of the people I spoke to this morning saying, 6 feet is usually the depth of a grave that they put you in. And I said, 6 crazy, feet. Yeah. Oh shit, 6 feet. Social distance. I'm like,
And I'm pretty sure it's the like size of your aura as well. It's like just enough to keep you outside of somebody's aura so you can't feel their energy. It's like weird.
That's not coincidental.
I know, none of it is.
It's intentional. Like... Oh man, when you see the game, we're like, mask my face, mask my energy, mask my aura, keep you away.
Literally breathing in carbon dioxide that your body has already released from your body because it doesn't need it anymore. Like, all of it. It's
all kind of stuff. Yeah, it's just. Yeah, that's what I have to offer there, and what comes to mind right now.
I think it's huge finding your tribe that you can talk about this stuff with, because we're not crazy to think the way that we think. We're not crazy to question things. And I was having a conversation with another friend of mine, and they were talking about conspiracy theories, and conspiracy literally just means going against the norm. And there's nothing wrong with going against the norm, right? When people say, "Are you like a conspiracy theorist?" I'm like, "Well, I guess I am."
Yeah.
I 100% am, if you're going to go by the definition of what conspiracy means, right? It means going against the norms, but it's been so conditioned to be so far out there and so far whatever, because a lot of the things honestly are pretty far out there and like pretty dark and pretty whatever, but it's like, it's uncomfortable. And I think that's where it comes in. And I'm noticing for myself, like sitting in those uncomfortable feelings doesn't feel nice. So I just avoid it. And then you just try to push it away as if it doesn't exist. But I've really realized that that's not the answer, right? It's like, I have to be able to sit with that discomfort in my body and allow that to move me in a way that feels good to myself. So taking in the knowledge of things that make me feel uncomfortable, but then also still, like you said, staying within my integrity and moving myself forward in a way that always benefits myself, but also always benefits those around me.
For sure.
And I think the more that we can kind of start doing that as a society, things are going to continue moving forward. So I think that's like amazing that you shared all of that stuff that you just shared.
Yeah, thank you for allowing me. Yeah. So yeah, for sure. That's great. That's great stuff.
I'm curious too, like, just like, this is kind of like a little bit off topic, but you said that you were a chemical engineer before. Yeah. So like for me, most people don't even know this about me, but I actually went to school, but the first thing I went to school for out of high school was power engineering technician, and working in the nuclear facilities. And I did that for a year and then went into paramedic. And I'm like very logical, very science brain as well, and asking questions. And when things just don't make sense, it's like, I can't do, like, for me, like physically in my human genetics, like I can't do anything that I don't believe in. Like I literally, like, I can't, it doesn't work.
Right.
And so I'm curious for you, like, what was it that made you kind of like lead you from being in the chemical engineer into the online space, into entrepreneurism? I know you mentioned that you have like big dreams, big visions, and obviously that box did not provide that for you. The box is capped. Like there's always a ceiling on being an employee. We're capped with our income. We're capped with what sick days were provided. We're capped with so many things. So what was it that kind of led you from being in that chemical engineer space into where you are now?
Yeah. So similar to what I mentioned earlier, just the whole boxed in idea of like having limited PTO or paid time off, like the fact that someone is going to tell me when I can go on vacation or when I, have to come back in the office or how much time I get to take. That just seemed like that seemed weird. I was like, that doesn't even seem like, in my language back then, I was like, no, that was just wrong. My language back then was wrong. And that was like, so that just started to stimulate the inquiry or the search for and asking, what does this look like 10 years from me, 15 years from me? And I, got the answer of something with more purpose around connection, around intimacy with people, around bonding. And so what came up for me, I left corporate in January of 2012. What came up to me was personal training. So, I'm still a personal trainer, been a personal trainer almost 9 years. And that was the onset of a new beginning. That started this new idea. And that, as I got into it, I felt very affirmed and got confirmation that this is where you're great at. This is your flow. This is what you really enjoy. And so from there, I started going to more personal work around my internal work. Did some plant medicine back in 2014. And I attended some workshops, seminars, and classes on personal development in a lot of different capacities. And as I just was going through these things, it just became more of a realization, like, this is what I'm meant to do. This is this is one of the purposes, right? That's like, it can be many purposes.
Yeah.
But this is one I feel very connected to. And I do feel like there's a purpose that has many legs of that purpose. One of my core purposes is connection and connection and balance. And there's so many different offshoots of what that looks like as far as coaching goes, traveling, all the other things that I've mentioned before, as far as what I'm really into or have interest in. So, and
lots of like opportunities available for you.
Yeah, for sure. I remember very distinctly, Laura, when I left the office, and it was January 20th, 2012. I felt like this calmness, this quietness over my body when I was in my boss's office, and we were like, yeah, this is not going to work. Cool. Left. And I didn't even know what I was going to do next. I just knew, like, okay, I have some other ways of sustaining myself. and I'm very clear that I can't do this anymore. Because I had already wanted to leave corporate when I first got into corporate. But it just so happened that I got my third job out of college. The third job I went into was amazing. Had this company still existed, which they folded because of the collapse of the economy back in 2008, and into the year I got laid off. They were a Swiss company. I loved them. Loved the company. Great balance. They were really big into work-life balance, which was a big part for me. I didn't mind working. There was no balance in the other places. So it's like, if I can't have that, I can't stay here. So that goes back to one of my core themes: balance and connection.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And when you made that leap, Anthony, I know you said you had other means to sustain yourself. What were some of those ways that you kind of allowed yourself to stay safe and secure while removing that income? Because I know for me personally, in my journey as well, I dropped a 6-figure paramedic job with pension benefits of safety and security, which there are so many people that have these safe, secure incomes and these safe, secure jobs. Safety is in like bringing in a steady income for X amount of years, right? So what was it that you did in order to allow yourself to still feel safe going from the security of that job into, say, personal training, which I'm assuming would be a pay cut, so earning less while still feeling safe and like certain enough in order to take that path?
Yeah, so I did some catering work on the side. I was a server. I used to do like setup. So I did that. And that was really, it was a contract, it's contract work. So I could just take it or leave it whenever it was presented to me. I didn't have to do it. And that provided a lot of free flow. And I actually started, so that was, and I liquidated my 401k. I had some savings. So I had some stuff, I actually felt better about not having a safety net. I don't know. And it was weird. I was like, wow, I feel like
lights on fire.
You're like, oh, now I gotta go. It was like, my mind was like, what's going on? But my body was like, let's do it.
The thrill of like the risk of just like going for it.
Yeah. And I was, so after things kind of equalized and things, became more steady, then I started to see like, I can manage this. I can make this happen. There's been moments where, that the financials dip, go down and they come back up, and that's and so that's,
it always works out though.
Yeah, it always works out.
Figure it out.
It's fine. Yeah. So
thank you for sharing that, because I know like when you see people in these online spaces and entrepreneurs, and you're like, I know for me personally, there was a disconnect between what people share, because we don't a lot of the time share that aspect of our stories, right? So then there's a disconnect between seeing how it's actually possible for other people. But the biggest thing that I've learned about people stepping into the like entrepreneurism is that they're resilient and they find out a way. They may have like the vision of personal training and where that's going to bring, and you pick up other things that may not be like something that really excites you, but it has something that you're going to be okay doing, so that your energy is good, so that you can then pursue that thing that you want, or do your more education or whatever with that vision of where you're going. So you just make do with everything else. It may not be ideally what you want, but you have a vision of where you're going.
Sure. Yeah. There's always a way. There's the way. The way. The way is that there is no way.
There is no way. We get to create the way.
We get the way, whatever that is. And even more than that, when people are like, what's the answer, master? What's the answer? Guru and shamanic leader. It's like, there is no answer. How about that? There is no answer. It's whatever you say it is. And that's no answer. It's just is.
Yeah.
So like, because like you ultimately are forming whatever that is, whatever's meaningful for you, you get to form that. You are ultimately always creator, director, and producer of your life. Always.
Yeah.
Even though it may not be easy to see that, for me, it's grounding to know that. And I can say that and still not always feel that. However, that's what keeps me like, all right, coming back to a peaceful state.
Yeah. That's incredible. So then you did the personal training stuff, and then how was it that you got into exactly what you're doing now? And then if you'd be open to sharing specifically what it is that you are doing now, because I love just like getting to know the human first, because I think it's so important. I don't know, I'm just so over like seeing like people as like their professional thing. I think that I love buying from people that I know from a personal level, or I love purchasing programs from people that I know on a personal level. So like, thank you for just opening up and sharing who you are as a person, because you're freaking incredible. And I know that you are.
Thank
So yeah,
you.
if you wouldn't just
Thank you.
mind like
Thanks.
sharing that little transition about how you went from then quitting your the chemical engineering, going into personal training, doing your serving and your side stuff, and then kind of like how that transitioned into where you are now, and then where you see yourself going in the future.
Yeah. So I connected with another trainer who was a mutual I connected with a mutual trainer through a mutual friend that me and this guy had, and we both shared a lot of very similar ideas about life, how we approach life, our common experiences. My phone's about to die, but I'm gonna have to go inside and get it on the charger, but we can still talk. Yeah. And so he helped mentor me with going beyond just the personal training part, because I had studied a lot of metaphysics. However, I didn't bring a lot of that part into my personal training. I just basically bought physicality and nutrition, even though I knew that metaphysics and like understanding mindset and a lot of other parts were important. I just didn't think it was valuable at the moment. So when I met him,
explain a little bit more, Anthony, about metaphysics. Like, what does that mean?
So actually, the metaphysics actually means the science beyond the science. So it's the unseen science that's undergirding what we see. You know, the obvious science of sensory, of what we can pick up perception wise. It's like the science underneath that. It's like it's like the dark matter, so to speak. You know. Okay. So it's a lot of times it's like I said, it's a larger governing aspect of what we see in the world scientifically.
Do you have like an example that you could give for that?
Yeah, sure. So this idea that everything is energy, meaning that yes, everything we touch, everything that we have a sense of, sight-wise, smell, everything, taste, has some type of resonance to it. It has vibration. It has some type of movement. That is the idea that everything is energy. Everything is made of some type of like spark of life. Now, that isn't always obvious on the surface, because what we see are like solid forms of matter. But metaphysically, underneath that, there is like, if you look at a chair in a room, that chair is actually moving, but you just don't see it because it's moving. You don't see it moving like this because the vibration is so small that you don't see it. So that's an idea of how the metaphysical or science beneath the threshold of what we can sense takes place or is functioning. So that's
and it's truly, do you feel like it's the underlying stuff that actually dictates what happens on the surface?
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. So having that understanding of what's going on beneath the surface will impact what's going on the surface.
Yep. And that ties into how one thing affects everything. How we do one thing shows up how it shows itself in other ways, in other circles, and other applications. Yeah. So it can be applied to everything.
Yeah. And how do you feel the boxed in mentality that we've all been conditioned with impacts our ability to see the underlying things?
Well, that programming, conditions you to only go so far. And a lot of times what it can do is you feel like, I can say for myself, I would sometimes have this judgment that if I looked at something a little bit beyond what I was told, then I would be like not a great student or not a scholar, because I wasn't following what the professors told me or my leaders told me, or so that kind of thing. So I think it can show up like that. I think it can show up in those kind of ways. And that in itself is where a lot of times people feel conflicted with what they're doing. They're in a, 1 second, I'm going to put you on speaker while I hook up. Can you hear me? Oh,
yeah.
How about, Can you hear me? Hold on 1 second. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, great. All right. So that's how, those are some ways in which I see how, like, taking place. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, okay, cool. I'm in shape.
We got it. Perfect. And so then back to like the metaphysics of how you use metaphysics in your business in order to help people with their health and with their well-being.
Yeah, so I oftentimes will tell them like how you work out in the gym shows up in how you work out in life, how you stretch, how you run, how you go for the long run in life, how open or closed you are, flexibility wise.
Yes.
How does your body fat show up as it relates to the emotional attachment, the emotional stress, the level of anxiety that you hold onto your body cumulatively? It all your body always keeps count, right? There's a book called The Body Keeps Score or something, or some type of like paper or research on that. It's because the body is just the outprint of the internal programming, of the internal algorithm of our mental, emotional, social, spiritual, and physical intake of things. So we're constantly programming ourselves by going into a certain kind of environment, adopting a certain norm, a certain belief, a certain value. All those things shape us in ways that show up physically, emotionally, mentally. And the mind is such a huge driver in all of it because it's where a lot of it's processed. So that's why this whole idea behind mental health is essential to have awareness of, and also to practice putting into play lifestyle habits that help keep you balanced.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because we live in a society that we've become very top heavy when in the mental space. And I feel like I love how you just shared about how the body keeps count and how much impact our body actually makes on the overall of what we do in our everyday life. So maybe like, if you could kind of maybe elaborate a little bit more on that mind-body connection and how focusing on the body in more ways than just working out actually impacts every area of your life.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because we have many bodies. The physical body is the one connected to the earth. However, like there's other planes of energy. Just like there's different like stages of matter, water, liquid, gas, all those things. So, or solids, water, gas. It's just like that. Our bodies exist in different ways. That's why we have an aura, right? It's almost like I can feel you from across the room, because your body is more than just its locality right here. It's energetically, like it's vibrating. That's the thing. So that's it. So when we think about our bodies, if we break us down to the smallest molecules, we're called atoms. Atoms actually vibrate. And so when they vibrate at a certain frequency, we get this thing called heat. And when it vibrates at a higher frequency, it gets hotter. So heat gets hotter. So we feel more of it. So it's just like how people can feel people's energy when they walk into the room. It's because they're at a vibratory state. So a lot of times that love and joy, and that aura is so much more like, it really like moves out really far, and it hugs people. It hugs people. So that's, I hope that, because sometimes when you ask me questions, or when people ask questions about stuff, I just kind of, I'll answer.
No, that was perfect.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
no, it's incredible. You're welcome. And I love that too, because it brings up like different people's auras, right? Like you'll feel drawn to certain things. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I'm learning too, is to trust my body with where it's drawing me to and where it's repelling me from, because my body is always guiding me. So if there is somebody, and it's not necessarily like a good or bad thing, it's just accepting what is, right? There could be that person that's very joyful and very whatever, and I may be gravitated to that person if I myself am kind of in that space where my energy allows that. Or I may be in a mood where I want to repel that because right now I just can't handle that energy. And there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with that person, right? It's understanding that there's no right or wrong. It's just different. right? Or there may be times where there's somebody who is like low vibration in like the scale of emotions, where they're just vibrating lower. And maybe I am in the space where I'm feeling good and I can hold space for that person. I think that's when we talk about holding space, that's truly what it is. It's like me understanding that if somebody is in these heavier emotions, do I have the capacity within my own energetic field to be able to hold space for them without me taking them on, right?
Yes.
So that, and then maybe they're in that space and I don't have that space, and I can repel away and not hold space for them. And that's okay too. Like, it doesn't matter what happens. We just have to be okay with an understanding more about this and what's going on within ourselves and how it impacts everybody else around us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I just put up a post today on Instagram about how you can care without carrying people's weight.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can care, but not carry them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can hold space for them and not, and because holding space is just how you are being in concert with them. Doesn't mean that you have to rescue them or save them, because that's not a real thing anyway. No one's coming to save you. No one's coming to rescue you. Nobody. The only person that's going to do that is you. And so that's very liberating and also very confronting. Highly more confronting than liberating. It can get to liberation. Well, first it's going to be confrontation. You gotta bust up against, you gotta hit up against that wall. And then once you break that wall, then boom, that's the liberation. I come out of my cocoon. I'm this butterfly. I'm this phoenix rising. So yeah. So I go into a lot of metaphysical. Actually, I call myself a metaphysical personal trainer because I use a lot of metaphysical ideas to set context for why I give people certain exercises, why have people consider and take on certain habits that could benefit them, because all tied into like helping to revitalize the body, to detox more than intox. So if we can detox more than we intox, we increase sustainability. We can increase life source energy more. We can minimize degradation and enhance elevation. Kind of rhymes, but it's real. What it is we can increase our sense of living over time. So I even have like a whole presentation on why certain exercises are connected to certain ways in which we move through life. Squats, push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, dips, all of them have some type of metaphysical way in which we move through life. Standing up for yourself when the weight is on your shoulder, pulling yourself together, pushing yourself away from shit that doesn't serve you. Okay. Pulling yourself up to the stage of opportunity, so pull-ups, push-ups, sitting up for yourself, sitting up for the occasion of life, standing up even though the weight of the world is on your shoulders. So all those muscle groups get connected to your psychology. You can be that speaker on stage that has all the muscles and be like, he's just a muscle guy. No, he has this in the bod. That's when the enhance of self-actualization presents itself. It's like, I don't have to have one and not the other. How about I have physicality, mentality, I have emotionality, I have all these things in concert in a beautiful union, dancing with one another.
Yes, it's all a beautiful dance of all of them. That's amazing. And I love that because, and this is just for me personally, and I know not everybody is like this, but I know that just the knowledge that I have and the knowledge that you've shared, I know that the people that work with you get amazing results, right or wrong. Right. Like you would get such amazing results having that knowledge of what's going on behind the scenes. Right. So I would love for you to just share a little bit more about who is it that you love helping? What is your vision with your business? And why is this so important for you that you've completely transformed your whole entire life to now go on this path and see this as your purpose in this world?
Yeah. I love working with people who are looking to really stray from the norm. That's actually my brand title for my coaching, Stray from the Norm, because when we do the same things all the time, we get the same results. And sometimes we think we can do the same thing and get different results. That's just the definition of insanity. And it's just something that cyclically feeds our ego. So I like to work with people who are wanting to make that leap, who wanted to really pivot and make some sustainable changes across the board in their relationship, in their career, business, person, internally. The people who just really want to like go into the different, the multiple layers of themselves and really like dig in, and will it be easy? No, that's okay. So people who are open to being coached, people who are willing to take a risk or take a chance on themselves, because I mean, if you're not taking a risk or a chance, what are you doing? And it also dulls the meaning of life when we don't do that. So I'm open to holding space for those who step into that. And the more I know, the more I do it for myself, the more I emanate that for others to do it for themselves. So it's a being that attracts that. So I'm continuing to explore that, expand on it, dance with that for myself as well. So, and what I see that, how I see that from a big standpoint is connecting with large groups of people across the world, where we have deep, intimate discussions and interactions where we see how we can further evolve ourselves and see what life is about. Workshops, seminars, classes. I'm definitely open to more speaking opportunities, and I had several in 2020. They were all virtual. However, I've done retreat speaking engagements before. I've done corporate speaking engagements in person before, and that's what I'm playing for, to attract those opportunities. And I see myself that I already see a lot of that brewing and as far as it manifesting and me attracting that. So
that's beautiful. Yeah, I could totally see like you're gonna achieve all of it. All of it. And it's going to be so beautiful just to be able to watch all of this and the impact that you are making. And I love how you shared about how like you're always evolving on your own personal journey as well. And that's truly what it is like when you can link arms with other people who are as committed as you to that growth, like the growth that we have in our lifetime is limitless. Like when I look at us, like we're still so young to be like in this space where we understand how much potential we actually hold. And it's like, it's so awesome. Like, thank you so much for coming on here and just sharing all of your knowledge, your own personal story, your knowledge that you have, and like your vision for your business and everything too. And if anybody wants to follow Anthony, we'll put his stuff in the comments as well. And you can share that as well. Because you have so much value to be able to offer people. And it excites me so much just to be able to, I don't know, like support people that are doing good by the world. And that's something for me that is just so important, that anything that I do moving forward with where I put my income, like where I spend my money, I want to make sure that it's doing good for the world, because the ripple of what can happen when the more good people have more money. It blows my mind to think of the things that we could potentially create. And I'm curious for you, question for you, when you have a limitless money and limitless time, like what are the big things that are on your heart that you would love to contribute to?
Oh man, wow. Well, I definitely want to help educate more people about how they can take back their own health, holistic. So I'm really big on educating people on just holistic ways in which to live, very basic ways too, not even like super complicated, like you have to be a breatharian in order to reach this state. Nothing like that. It's just like understand how you can really start to do things for yourself that adds back to yourself as a person in so many ways. And that in itself, it creates this model effect, this model ripple effect, where one person models it and it affects the next person, and affects the next person. And so we don't have to go out and try to stand on top of a massive stage necessarily, but our stage is the stage in front of somebody else. So I want to continue to educate people in whatever capacities that I can. So I'll use the money to leverage my platforms to make, donations for people who are doing similar kind of things, or things that are complementary to what I'm doing. Because I think that's that's the thing. When we share it, we all grow from it. We all get from it. We all can eat off of it, you know. And so that's our natural order of living. We all share everything that we have, and we all actually end up with more because there's more than enough. There's more than enough. It's around that I'm continuing to inspire myself towards.
Beautiful. Yeah, there's definitely more than enough. Like there's so much room in this universe for all of us to rise to the top.
For
It
sure.
just like excites me so much.
Yeah, it's we live in a massively abundant space, and I think abundance is even, you know, it's kind of, what's the word I want to say? It's really like it doesn't really describe how it really is, because it's so much bigger than that. It's, yeah, it's infinity, you know, infinite. So yeah, real quick, if I could just kind of just plug my group coaching for a little bit.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, talk about it. 100%.
Yeah, so I'm launching a group coaching experience that's going to start on June 16th for healers and aspiring healers, people who are in the realm of holistic space holding, holistic healing, and they want to experience, they want to learn, they want to transform themselves from maybe potentially dealing with challenges around personal time management, that deal with overextending themselves to the point of fatigue and burnout and depletion and being unfulfilled in their giving and their sharing and the space holding and their healing that they do, and make a change in that by learning how to implement healthier lifestyle standards that give them a deeper sense of capacity, on how to retain their capacity, enhance their capacity, which then helps them show up more joyously, more lovingly, and not just for the people in front of them, but for themselves. They feel more joyous and loved because they've loved on themselves. They've filled themselves so they can feel fulfilled. So, and that allows a deeper sense of sustainability and longevity in the practices of the healing that they do in whatever modality, whether it be a massage therapist, meditation teacher, a Reiki teacher, a breatharian, a Tantra specialist, anybody that deals with the energetics, you know. And so in this journey and in discovery, we're going to really dive deep into the wounded healer, the wounded healer scenarios, like holding space, helping people heal their, you know, traumas and areas of opportunities. However, we're not looking at it within ourselves, you know, because sometimes it's easy to do the work of helping others, but not working on yourself. But you know what, Laura, that's the point of having community. So you don't have to do the work all by yourself, because you're not meant to do it all by yourself. And it's not sustainable to do it by yourself. And you can't see all your blind spots.
Yeah.
So the course is going to help people understand the power of having a community. It's going to be an online community. It's going to be a bi-weekly Zoom format session experience. And we'll have all kind of different activities to do so that we integrate, we learn, we become aware, we practice, integrate. Become aware, practice, and we integrate. And all those things just keep building our sense of clarity, conviction, and courage to continue on in life. So I just want to plug that. If you're interested, you can DM me. I'm on Facebook, Anthony Strayhorn. I'm on Instagram, StrayFIT.lifestyle. Laura put the information here.
I'll put it all in there.
Yeah, and yeah, so I just want to plug that because, you know, I feel like this is an amazing offering to the world, especially a lot of healers don't have coaches coaching them, you know, in the sense around, well, particularly around these very specific areas, because I have identified these areas as areas that can really be addressed more head on, you know.
Yeah, and I love that. It's going to be such an impactful course. I know even for me and my story, like being a paramedic, somebody, like, it seems like, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when it comes to wounded healers, right? It's like anybody who's in that caretaking role, sounds like they would benefit from this, right? Because it's like you're so used to looking after everybody else that allowing somebody to hold space for you and look after you for once is uncomfortable, right? So that's what this is. And this is an opportunity to have Anthony be able to hold space for you so that you can dig into your own stuff instead of always helping everybody else to dig into their stuff. And oh my gosh, guys, I tell you, when you allow yourself to surrender to that space of being vulnerable and allowing somebody else to hold space, it's like a relief, and it helps you so much. It's interesting. I actually, I did a plant medicine ceremony recently, and that was one of the biggest things that it showed me was, if I fully surrender and allow myself to be held, how good it feels. And I burst out laughing to myself because I'm like, why do I resist this? It feels so good.
Yes.
It's so interesting. But yeah, this is going to be such a magical course. I'm so excited for anybody that chooses to take part in it. It truly is going to just be incredible. So I'll definitely put all of that information down in the comments of whether you're watching the YouTube video or whether you're listening to the audio on podcast, so that anybody can do that. And when does it start, Anthony?
June 16th.
June 16th.
A couple weeks. And yeah, the first meeting is a kickoff meeting to establish the groundwork, or to establish the container space. And then we'll officially start it a week after that on the 23rd.
Beautiful. I love that. I love how it's just a short time span. So it's like, if you're feeling the pull now, just bite the bullet and do it. Don't doubt yourself. Don't allow that fear to kick in, the self-doubt. Like, just go and do it. You're gonna thank yourself.
And you know why I did that? I did that very intentionally, Laura, because when we have a lot of time to try to think, this right here will find a way. Hey, no.
Oh, totally.
You're not ready. It costs too much. You want all kinds of stuff will come up, you know. Yeah. And that's the thing. That's the thing. That's not going to ever go away. It's just, how can we like bring that chatter down just a little bit more? If we can just put our foot in that door of surrendering just a little bit more, that chatter can break itself down. Mm-hmm. Or it won't choke, you know. And it's also just like a way of us to like do something that disrupts our way of thinking, like a pattern interrupt. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's really like a big part of that. Like, how can we disrupt ourselves to change the way in which we've been doing things all the time? Yeah.
Huge. So if you're feeling the pull, definitely go check that out. And thank you so much again, Anthony, for coming on here, for sharing your story, for sharing all of your wisdom, your knowledge, for sharing about your group coaching program, and just about like your vision of the way that you are choosing to show up in this world as the man that you are. And also like the vision that you have for humanity, and how you just have this like massive heart to be able to serve people. So thank you for going through all of your trials and tribulations and challenges and everything, and just continuing forward with that vision that you have, because it's honestly, you're changing so many people's lives. So I'm just so grateful for you.
Thank you, Laura. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you. It was great.
You're so welcome.
Love talking with aligned minds.
It's amazing, isn't it? There's nothing better. I'm like, how do we get paid to do this? This is like ridiculous.
Oh, you are, and you will. It's something magical that you're creating space for.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah. And to everybody that's watching, thank you so much for being on here with us again for another episode. I'm just so proud of you once again for just expanding your minds, opening up your hearts to an entirely new way of being, because you truly do get to create this life exactly as you choose. So thank you so much to everybody watching. If you feel like somebody that you know would find value in this episode, please feel free to share it with them. And Anthony and I, you can reach out to either of us at any point. We're here for you 100% through all of it to hold space for you. So we love you all so much, and we hope you have the most amazing day.
All right. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.